Hey, you. Ever have those days where your brain feels like a washing machine on spin cycle?
Oh, definitely.
Thoughts just tumbling over each other, maybe replaying that awkward thing you said last week, or, fast forwarding to every possible worst case scenario?
Absolutely. It's
Well,
mentally draining,
yeah,
really exhausting.
yeah. And honestly, it can stop you dead in your tracks when you're trying to move forward. So that's exactly what we're diving deep into today. Overthinking.
hmm And we've pulled together some, I think, really interesting perspectives to help you not just understand this mental whirlwind, but maybe learn how to steer it a bit better.
Okay.
We're looking at insights from YouTube channels like Psych2Go and Therapy in a Nutshell, plus some solid written advice, too.
Right.
Our goal here is really to extract the practical strategies, the things you can start doing today to step out of that endless loop.
Okay, practical stuff. I like that.
Yeah.
Think about this scenario, right? You get a super vague email from your boss, just, let's connect, nothing else.
Oh, I know that feeling, that pit in your stomach.
Exactly. Ugh. Suddenly your brain is working overtime. It's like a whole detective squad analyzing every tiny little interaction, convinced you're about to get, called into the principal's office.
Yeah, totally. That's the kind of mental space we're exploring. And the very first thing, the absolute starting point in navigating this internal landscape
No.
is just recognizing when you're actually in that overthinking zone.
Just noticing it.
Yeah. Psychogo makes a great point that overthinking can become this almost automatic negative mental commentary. It just runs on repeat in the background, and you might not even consciously register it's happening.
Right. It's just there.
Exactly. And the key insight is you can't manage what you don't notice.
Okay. Okay. So how do we actually shine a spotlight on that background noise? How do we, catch ourselves in the act?
Well, grounding techniques can be incredibly helpful. They'd sort of pull your awareness back to the present moment, like hitting a reset button.
Grounding? How did
Yeah.
that work?
Psych2Go mentioned one called the 478 breathing technique. It's pretty straightforward. You inhale deeply through your nose for a count of 4.
Okay, 4 seconds in.
Hold that breath for a count of 7.
7 hold.
And then exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 8.
Reach out. Wow.
It might seem really simple, but it's kind of amazing how that deliberate focus on your breath can interrupt that racing mental energy. The takeaway, breathing can be a powerful, immediate anchor.
Yeah, I can totally see how that would physically bring you back into your body and out of your head.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Are there other ways to ground yourself?
Oh, absolutely. Engaging your senses is another big one. Psych2Go suggested picking up an object nearby, anything really, and just paying attention to its texture.
Like, is it smooth or rough?
Exactly. What does it weigh in your hand? What temperature is it? Or even just focusing on the physical sensation of water, like when you're washing your hands. These little anchors in the physical world, they can be surprisingly effective at disrupting that train of anxious thoughts. Your senses are kind of a direct line to the present.
That makes perfect sense. It's like giving your brain a specific, tangible task instead of letting it just wander down worry lane.
Precisely. And therapy in a nutshell emphasizes the power of just noticing and naming.
Noticing and naming.
Yeah, just consciously saying to yourself, maybe just in your head, okay, I'm overthinking right now.
Yeah.
That simple act can create a little bit of distance.
Distance between you and the thoughts.
Exactly. It's like acknowledging the thought, seeing it without getting totally swept away by it. They even suggest maybe asking someone you trust, a partner or a friend, to gently point it out if they notice you getting stuck in that pattern.
Oh, that's a really good point. Sometimes when you're in the middle of it, you're the last one to realize, right?
Precisely. And they also highlight identifying your personal triggers.
Triggers. Like what?
Yeah, are there certain times of day, maybe right before you try to sleep,
Mm.
or specific locations, perhaps your desk at work, or particular situations like after a difficult conversation?
Okay.
Understanding your triggers lets you anticipate those moments. You can be more prepared to manage your thoughts. It's about knowing your own overthinking hotspots.
So it's like setting up your mental early warning system for those danger zones where overthinking is more likely to kick in.
Exactly. And for a more proactive way to monitor yourself, therapy in a nutshell suggests something interesting: setting hourly alarms on your phone.
Hourly alarms, really?
Yeah. When the alarm goes off, just take a brief moment to check in. Have I been caught up in rumination? What's my mind been focused on?
Wow.
Tracking this for even just a week can give you a really clear picture of how much time your mind is spending in that space. It could be Quite eye-opening.
I bet. That sounds like it could be a real wake-up call. Okay, so we've become aware. We notice we're doing it. Now what? What do we actually do with that awareness?
Right, this is where we start actively shifting focus and thought patterns. Psych2Go draws a really crucial distinction here
Okay.
between unproductive thinking and productive problem solving. Unproductive thinking is often rooted in fear, negativity. Those endless loops, like if I try this, then this terrible thing will definitely happen.
Or
Or,
yeah, the why does this always happen to me?
oh, exactly, those why me thoughts. They rarely lead to solutions, they just keep you spinning.
Uh-huh. The mental hamster wheels. I know them well.
Right, they just keep you stuck. Productive problem solving, on the other hand, is all about taking action. And Psych2Go highlights the power of asking how instead of why.
How instead of why?
Yeah. Asking why often just leads to more analysis, more rumination about the problem itself.
Mm.
But asking how, well, that immediately directs your attention to potential solutions. What could you do right now?
Oh, I see.
So the shift is move from why, which is often rumination, to how, which is action-oriented.
That's subtle, but wow, incredibly powerful. So instead of dwelling on, say, why am I so bad at presentations, you start thinking.
How can I prepare more effectively for the next one?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
It moves you from feeling stuck in the problem to actively seeking ways forward and to prevent getting bogged down in constant rumination all day.
Yeah.
Psych2Go suggests scheduling self-reflection time.
Scheduling it.
Yeah, creating a mental boundary. If something goes wrong or a worry pops up, instead of immediately getting sucked into a spiral, you tell yourself, okay, I'll think about this later, during my scheduled reflection time.
Huh.
This lets you assess the situation without letting it hijack your entire day. You basically gain control by designating time for worry so it doesn't take over everything.
So it's like telling your brain, look, we'll get to that, but on my schedule, not yours.
Precisely. And to interrupt those negative thought streams in the moment, Psych2Go talks about changing lanes
Changing lanes.
or actively distracting yourself. They even touch on that interesting reverse psychology thing.
Oh, yeah, like don't think of a pink elephant.
Exactly. The more you try not to think about something, the more it can stubbornly stick in your head. So consciously engaging in a hobby you enjoy, going for a walk, doing some exercise, that can be a really effective way to shift gears, break that mental fixation.
Right.
Sometimes the best way to stop a thought is just to think about something else entirely.
It's about creating a deliberate detour for your mind.
Right. And therapy in a nutshell reinforces this idea. They call it postponing or scheduling rumination.
Okay. Similar idea.
Very similar. You consciously decide, okay, I'll address these worries at, say, 7 p.m. tonight. You can even put it in your calendar.
Put worry time in the calendar.
Yeah. It sends a clear signal to your brain that you will deal with it, just not right now. They recommend starting with maybe 15, 20 minutes daily. Set a timer even.
That feels almost counterintuitive, scheduling time to worry. But I can actually see how that might give you a greater sense of control over it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It paradoxically often reduces the overall worry. And they have this fantastic piece of advice.
Yeah.
Never worry in your head. Do it on paper.
Oh, interesting. Get it out.
Get it out.
Yeah.
Techniques like just free writing everything that's bothering you, maybe making a pros and cons list related to the worry, or just a complete brain dump of all those racing thoughts. Getting those thoughts out of your head and onto paper can instantly make them feel less overwhelming, more tangible, more manageable.
Right. You externalize them.
Exactly. It makes them less overwhelming, maybe more solvable. You take the abstract chaos in your mind and make it concrete, something you can actually look at and work with.
I like that. Concrete.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there's the really valuable skill of attention shifting.
Okay.
Therapy, in a nutshell, cleverly compares it to changing channels on a TV remote.
Ah, okay.
When you notice yourself getting hooked into that worry loop, consciously choose to shift your focus. Change the channel.
To what, though?
It could be actively thinking about things you're grateful for, or focusing on aspects of your life where you do feel a sense of control, or deliberately trying to adopt a more helpful perspective on the situation.
So it's not just about stopping the negative thought, but actively choosing a different thought to tune into.
Yes. And they emphasize making those new channels specific, controllable, and action-oriented. Instead of just vaguely trying to be more positive,
Right, which is hard.
you might focus on a concrete task you need to complete, or a small step you can take towards a goal. And a particularly powerful way to shift attention is back to the present moment, using your senses.
Like the grounding stuff earlier.
Exactly. Therapy, in a nutshell, highlights really tuning in. What can you see right now? What can you hear? What can you physically feel?
Mhm.
Moving your attention from those internal negative thoughts to the external world and your current activities. It's a core component of mindfulness, really.
It's all about bringing yourself back to the here and now, grounding yourself in your immediate experience.
Exactly. And Psych2Go also emphasizes this. They recommend learning mindfulness as a consistent practice to really anchor yourself in the present.
Takes practice, though.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
They rightly point out it takes practice
Yeah.
and suggest using resources, books, apps, courses. There's lots out there. The core idea is observing your thoughts without judgment.
Without judgment. That's the hard part.
It is. But just noticing them as they arise and pass,
Yeah.
like clouds drifting by in the sky.
And that image of the clouds really helps, actually. Creates that sense of detachment.
Precisely. Now, let's maybe pivot to some broader strategies and some important mindset shifts.
Okay.
Psych2Go wisely suggests looking at the big picture.
How so?
When you're feeling completely consumed by a current worry, take a step back. Ask yourself honestly, will this specific thing even matter in a few days, a few weeks, a few years?
Ah, the perspective check.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It can be incredibly effective in helping you regain perspective, dial down the intensity of that immediate anxiety.
Sure.
Zoom out,
That's such a valuable tool for reality checking those anxieties that feel so huge in the moment.
Absolutely. And another crucial mindset shift, according to Psych2Go, is actively doing away with perfectionism.
Oh boy, that's a big one for a lot of people.
It's huge. They point out that perfectionism is so often rooted in this deep fear of failure, fear of judgment. And it can be a major fuel source for overthinking and ultimately inaction,
Yeah, getting stuck.
totally stuck.
Right.
That simple phrase, done is better than perfect. That can be a really helpful mantra. Combat overthinking by embracing imperfection, prioritizing action.
Definitely. The fear of not getting something exactly right can be completely paralyzing, keeps you in those endless cycles of planning and worrying.
Precisely. And hand in hand with that is the importance Psych2Go places on self-compassion.
Being kind to yourself.
Yes. And accepting your best. Recognizing when you genuinely need a break. Acknowledging your emotions without harsh judgment. Using positive affirmations, maybe, to counter that self-criticism. It really helps you move past perceived mistakes. Let go of that relentless inner critic that often drives the overthinking. Treat yourself with kindness, basically.
Like you would treat a good friend going through a tough time.
Exactly that. And the power of gratitude can't overstate that. Psych2Go highlights how cultivating gratitude can fundamentally shift your perspective. It actively disrupts those negative thinking spirals.
How does that work in practice?
They suggest making a conscious effort to acknowledge successes, even small everyday ones. Maybe write down 5 things that went well each day.
5 things. Okay.
It's a powerful way to counteract that natural human bias towards focusing on what's going wrong.
Right.
Actively cultivate gratitude. It pushes back against the negativity.
That's a fantastic practice to build into your routine, intentionally seeking out and appreciating the positive.
It truly is. And therapy in a nutshell offers another really valuable contrast in thinking styles,
Yeah.
shifting from abstract, overgeneralizing thinking to more concrete thinking.
Abstract versus concrete. Example.
Okay, abstract might be, why can't I ever seem to get my needs met? It's vague, right? It fuels endless rumination, doesn't lead anywhere clear.
Right. It feels overwhelming.
Exactly. Concrete thinking focuses on specific, actionable details. They reiterate why questions often keep you stuck in analysis. What questions naturally encourage action?
What questions?
Yeah, move from vague why to specific what questions. It promotes action.
So instead of that broad, crushing feeling of why am I such a failure, you shift to something more manageable, like,
Like, what is one small, concrete step I can take today to move towards my goal? See the difference.
yeah, much more empowering,
Yes.
actionable.
Precisely. And therapy in a nutshell also strongly emphasizes shifting your main focus away from the overthinking itself and towards your core personal values.
Your values, like honesty, connection.
Exactly. What's truly important to you in life. They encourage listeners to actively explore their values and then consciously align their actions with them. Even if it means taking small steps that feel hard, steps that go against that urge to withdraw when you're overthinking.
So connect with your values to guide your actions.
Yes. It's about grounding yourself in what truly gives your life meaning and purpose,
Right.
rather than just focusing on the noise in your head.
Right. Makes sense.
Now, distraction. We mentioned it earlier. It can be tempting, sometimes useful short-term, to break out of a pattern. Therapy, in a nutshell, acknowledges this.
But there's the but.
There's a but. They caution against using distraction as your main strategy, as pure avoidance.
Mm.
That can ultimately lead to feeling like you're losing meaning and joy.
Okay.
They recommend striving for a balance. Address problems directly when you can, but also actively engage in valued activities, things you genuinely enjoy, things that align with what's important to you.
Like exercise, hobbies.
Yeah, exercise, hobbies, volunteering. Site2Go also highlights just having a predictable daily routine can provide structure and reduce anxiety overall. So use distraction as a temporary break, but balance it with meaningful engagement.
So distraction is like a quick pause button, but not the whole solution.
Exactly. Don't let it become avoidance. And Site2Go also wisely advises limiting exposure to excessive information overload.
News, social media.
Yeah, constantly checking news, scrolling social media. These can often be significant triggers for anxiety and overthinking for many people.
Good reminder.
And finally, both sources consistently reinforce the vital importance of self-compassion and self-acceptance.
Back to being kind to yourself.
Yes, acknowledging you'll make mistakes, accepting the inherent uncertainty of life, recognizing that not every single problem needs an immediate, perfect solution right now.
It's okay not to have it all figured out instantly.
Absolutely. And just briefly, therapy in a nutshell also mentions that professional therapy approaches like CBT.
Cognitive behavioral therapy.
All right, that helps identify and change negative thought patterns.
Yeah.
Or ACT acceptance and commitment therapy, which focuses on accepting difficult thoughts while committing to values-driven action. And also metacognitive therapy, which looks at your beliefs about your thinking. These can provide really valuable support if overthinking is significantly impacting your well-being.
So lots of tools, professional help available too. It's really a multifaceted approach, isn't it? Lots of angles you can take.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the fundamental takeaway, the main thing we want you to grasp, is that while overthinking is incredibly common, so many people experience this, it doesn't have to control you.
Right.
By cultivating greater awareness, actively working to shift those thought patterns, using techniques like asking how, scheduling worry time, challenging negative thoughts, and by implementing these practical strategies we've talked about, all drawn from these great resources, you absolutely can gain more control over your thoughts and start living a more present, more fulfilling life.
Wow. This has been such a valuable deep dive, really practical stuff. And for you listening, I really encourage you to think about maybe just one or two of these strategies that particularly resonated.
Yeah, just pick one to start.
Right. Maybe it's that simple 4-7-8 breathing, or the idea of scheduling that worry time, which still sounds kind of wild, but I get it now. Or maybe consciously asking yourself, what instead of why?
Small steps.
Exactly. Commit to practicing just one or two of those things in the coming days. And just observe. See if you notice any subtle shifts in your thinking patterns. Consider, how freeing up that mental space currently occupied by overthinking could create more room for the grit and growth you're striving for in your own life.
That's a great way to put it.
And hey, if you found this deep dive helpful, please do us a favor, like it, share it with someone who might need it, and definitely subscribe to my channel, Grit and Growth, for more content just like this.
Yeah, definitely subscribe.
Thanks so much for taking this deep dive with us today.